You had a great new album that came out earlier this year called Silver Landings, and that was your first. I wasn't surprised, but I didn't realize it had been quite so long since that was your first album in
A
11
decade.
years.
Yeah, 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 over a decade.
Um, and what was your relationship with music before that? I mean, obviously, at 15, you were one of the top selling recording artists in the world with Candy, and then, more music came after that. And then really you stopped for a
Yeah.
very long time making music and did acting. Why did you stop? Why did you want to come back?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, music has been a through line. It's how I started as a young person. It's what sort of like introduced me to the world in a sense. Um, but I never ever had as much success. Not that it means anything necessarily, because I was still given the opportunity to do it. But I never sort of had the same success as I had sort of found on the acting side of things. So I feel like that part of my life just realistically was easier to sort of roll out in a way, and music always felt like this really cherished hobby that I was lucky enough to get to do. And really, if somebody asked me like point blank what I was more passionate about, it would always be music. Um, but I think like I had a record come out in 2009 that I was really proud of. Didn't end up like touring or doing anything with it. And then my relationship to music, I think, really changed. I wasn't in a healthy relationship, and it really informed, I think, how I felt
Mm,
like as a musician, as a recording artist. And it really made me sort of question, the more time sort of went on, if I wanted to do that anymore, if that part of my life was sort of dormant and over. And I didn't have a record label, I didn't have a music manager, like none of the things that I sort of had always kind of had at my disposal. Literally somebody saying like, "Okay, it's time to get back in the studio now. You owe, the record label an album at this point." And it's like, okay, well, you have to fulfill your duties and you do what you have to do. But I think because I didn't have any of that pressure anymore, and I had this like unhealthy relationship, it let me off the hook, or I let myself off the hook for a very long time, until I found myself with Taylor, my husband, and who's an incredible musician. And I just would watch him and his band on the road and how much fun they all had together, how much fun they had on stage. And I could feel very early on this like sort of jealousy percolating in me, like, I want to do that. I know how to do that. I miss that. And that kind of like signaled to me, you got to figure out a way back into music. And I was really lucky with This Is Us that the character arc sort of incorporated music. Like my backstory, my character
yeah.
was a musician back in the day, and it allowed me to sort of literally go back into the studio and record a couple of songs for the first season of the show. And again, that like further ignited in me, like, oh, I like this, I miss this. And once I was ready to kind of drop the emotional baggage that I had been carrying around with me about being a musician, and just sort of like drop that and focus on what I missed, it was really easy to sort of get back into the swing of things. And I'd had, like you said, 11 years of life to sort of reflect back on and to write about, and that was cathartic. Yeah, it was great. It was time. And I've been writing a lot over these past, 8 months as well. I want to get another record out as soon as I can and be able to go on the road with both of them, since I wasn't able to go on the road with Silver Landings, and have my husband out there with me. And it's a nice sort of bit of like connective tissue with us to be able to do that together and to have that common ground. It means all the more because we're able to share that too.